friends, I have been down trying to nurse my brother who has been unwell. And as you know, it's in times of tribulation that we draw closer to God. Trouble has a way of bringing us bound to our God. We really tend to fathom the reality of God in pain. And so, as I nurse my brother and I see people coming in to pray for him, I'm also taking notes and learning quite a few things about love and about people and about pain and all that. We are always learning, really. That is the nature of life. We always learn. And one thing that has really struck me as I think through stuff is the reality of grace and why without grace I'm personally doomed. And I've been doing some study, deep study in the Bible about stuff. And I felt the Spirit speak to me some things. And one of the most recited, most well-known teachings of Jesus Christ, what he taught himself, is found in the book of Matthew chapter 5, 6, and 7. And we know the Sermon on the Mountain. But there is another sermon that is not well spoken of, not really well, that is not very popular with the people. And it's the Sermon in the Valley. Jesus held several sermons, and one was the Sermon on the Mountain, which we all know because of the Beatitudes and all those wonderful things about judgment and getting, all those things done. But we have the Sermon in the Valley, and this sermon, this teaching from Christ, comes moments after he had chosen and commissioned the 12 apostles. And he comes in the valley, and the multitudes come from Judea and Jerusalem and the coastal towns of Tyre and Sidon. And the people who come there, the Bible says in the book of Luke, because this sermon in the valley is written by Luke. The people who come to Jesus in the book of Luke are people who are vexed. We're told that these are people who are vexed by unclean spirits. And so Jesus is in the valley so that they can reach to him. And multitudes come to him and they touch him. And when they touch him, virtue comes out of his body and they are healed. And then when all of them have been healed, because it seems these were people who were actually tormented spiritually, when they are healed of their diseases, he now begins to speak to them about their physical challenges. And he addresses the poor and he says, those who are poor are blessed because the kingdom is for them. And he talks about those who are hungry, because we had hungry people there. His healing did not take away their hunger. He says they'll be filled. And then he talks about those with the tears because of the trouble in their lives. Those who have wept a lot, he says, your tears will be dried. And then he speaks of those who are hated, the 4 categories of people. They were the poor, the hungry, they were in weeping mods, people who are so sad, and then those who would be hated. And he sorts them out with the gospel and tells them they will be okay. But then he speaks something that puts me off the balance. When I hear these words that follow, I'm taken aback. And he says, but I say to you, love your enemies and do good to them who hate you. And there, my antennas rise. I have failed to love my enemies. I've failed. How can I love somebody who hates me? I find it hard to love those who hate me. I don't know how to do it because they're hating on me, and I'm being told to love them. How possible is this? That I can love people who are my enemies? It's hard. And he says, bless them that curse you. And pray for them that despitefully use you. To bless those that curse. Somebody's cursing you and you bless them. Is it possible? And he says, and him who smiteth thee on one cheek, offer also another. That somebody's smiting you here, and then you say, God, come on, you're not done. And then they demolish you on this other one. How can I allow that? And to pray for those that despitefully use you. How can I pray for them? And they are using me. And they are being disrespectful, being spiteful. How do I pray for them when I have other things to pray for and pray about? And he says that, and him that taketh away thy cloak, forbid not to take thy coat also. The only place that I find some solace is when I reach verse 30 that says, give to every man that asketh of thee. And that is about giving, and I realize there the temperatures begin coming down. But the preceding verses pose a big challenge to me. And that's why, friends, I need grace and I need prayer to stand, to really love my enemies. And I know even if I am prayed for, it would be hard for me to love them. And so I don't think Jesus is putting a standard upon us which only him can measure up to. I don't think he is putting this to us as a qualification to enter heaven. But he's drawing us to grace, that we may realize that alone in our own ways, in our own righteousness, we can't do anything. And we are in desperate need of grace, that saving power from the Word himself, from the Lord, that we will walk in faith and seek after mercy from God so that we may reach home. Jesus is such a great teacher and such a wonderful philosopher and a prophet. And his teaching is so clear. He presents his message with such clarity and authority and strength. And when we read the word, what we realize is that on our own we are so limited. If we read it deeper, then we realize that he is not putting up things that are, so superficial and expecting us to live by them. But he is drawing us to grace. He is opening up the door for us to see how insufficient we are. And in my work, I hear a lot of good things from people telling me, you're so sufficient. You have done this and you have done that. And in that arrangement, sometimes you can be tempted to begin thinking, well, I'm anything. I'm something. I'm good. But reading that really puts me back to square zero and makes me so naked and exposed and in need of grace. And that is why I'm a Christian. That's why I'm a follower of Jesus Christ. I don't even like calling myself a Christian, but a follower of Jesus Christ. That he may impute his mercy and grace upon me as I have faith in him, in his healing power, in his saving power, in his blood. Let us draw to him, friends, with confidence. We are not sufficient. None is. We are all as we are. We can't love our enemies. It's not easy. It's impossible to do that, according to me. Because how will I love somebody who is hating me? I find it hard to do it. And so I stand in need of grace. Please remember me in your prayers as I pray for you. Basically, this channel will be personal between me and my friends, that we will get together in prayer and be open with each other and pour our hearts into one another and pour our grace into one another and illuminate our lives and share our crevices and our pains and our hearts and disappointments that we will share with each other as we seek out for a solution, for an answer from a God who is all-knowing, all-powerful, and present everywhere, omniscient, omnipresent, that he will help us to finally reach home through grace, not through works, not through our own righteousness. That's what I wanted to share tonight.